Hello everyone, welcome to the new video. Today we are going to discuss how to calculate the expected rate of return and the risk of expected rate of return of different securities. So I have put some data in the Excel sheet. I'm doing it in the Excel sheet, but you can do it manually on your notebooks. I have added some data just to save time, but I'll explain the data to you people. Let's assume that we are considering two securities, I security and J security, in column C and column D. K is for the return, and I is for I security and J is for J security. Let's say that we are assuming that for the year 2020, the economy of Pakistan is expected to perform either strongly, or it can be above average, it can be average, or it is below average or poor. So these are the state of in nature, the outcomes, how Pakistan economy is expected to perform. So there are chances that the Pakistan economy can perform strongly. There is an expectation that the economy can perform above average, average and below average. So I have taken these 5 outcomes. The outcomes can be more, the outcomes can be less. The next step that we need to do is to identify that what are the chances. We call it as chances probability. P is the probability. The probability of a strong performance of Pakistan economy. Now I have assumed value, but these values in real world you have to forecast based on different economic data, the reports issued by State Bank of Pakistan, the reports issued by World Bank, IMF. From all that you are actually identifying what are the chances that the Pakistan economy will perform strongly. So I have assumed a value of, let's say there are 10% chances, mean the probability of strong economy is 10%. Similarly, for above average, the chances are 20%, for average 40%, below average 20%, and poor 10%. These are assumed values. This is what you call as the probability. The sum of the probability is equal to 1. So if I calculate the sum should be equal to 1. The probability cannot be greater than 1, and the overall probability should be 1. So a particular state of nature can have a maximum probability of 1. So then all other state of nature will have 0 probability. That means then that is the only outcome possible. Similarly, a state of nature can have the minimum probability of 0, mean there is no chances of occurring that particular state of nature. So generally the probability varies between 1 and 0, 0 and 1. So I have assumed these values. Now these are not supposed to be the accurate values, these are only assumed values. The third step, that under the strong economy where there are chances that there are 10% chances, the expected return of K security will be 25%. So if Pakistan economy performs strongly and there are 10% chances that the economy can perform strongly, the return of I security will be 25%. Similarly, going down 18%, 11%, 5%, and minus 5% if the economic performance is poor, where there are again 10% chances, the expected return of I security will be minus 5%. These are the expected rate of return under different state of nature. So what is the expected rate of return as a whole for the year 2020? For example, we are assuming 2020 as the year. So we need to calculate the expected rate of return. So how we calculate the expected rate of return? Let me just put it KI, and I put EXP, that is for the expected. So how we can do that? It's simple. It's equal to what? I'm just writing it here, and then I'll calculate in the specific cell. That is equal to what sum of, so I'll put this from the symbol, and here we can get this the symbol for the summation, close, and what is the formula? PI KI. the sum of pi ki. How we actually do it, I'll do it here. So I'll put the equal sign, equal to the probability first, multiply by the expected rate of return, plus, because we need the sum, second probability, multiply by the expected return under the second state of nature, and similarly for third. And lastly, under the poor economic performance, multiply by the return expected and enter. So these are the expected rate of returns. If there is, I'm sorry, there is one mistake that I have to correct. This should be multiply, and this is the correct value. So the correct value is 11%. So if we multiply 0.1 into 25 plus 0.2 into 18 plus 0.4 into 11 plus 0.2 into 5 and plus 0.1 into minus 5, the value is 11%. So the expected rate of return for I security in year 2020 is 11%. We quickly do it for the second security, and again we have to do it the same way. Expected rate of return multiply by, or we can do it either way, so it's a just multiplication, plus second probability multiply by the expected rate of return, plus third probability multiply by the expected rate of return under third, plus so that is 8%. It means the expected rate of return of I security for the year 2020 is 11%, while the expected rate of return for J security for the year 2020 is 8%. So which security is better based on the expected rate of return? Obviously security I is better than security J, because the expected rate of return of I security for the year 2020 is 11% as compared to security J, which has an expected rate of return of 8%. So the expected rate of return of I security is 3% more than the expected rate of return of J security. But again, as investor, we are not making decision based on the returns only, so we need to calculate the risk. Now how we calculate the risk of expected rate of return? So there are total 3 steps in which we can do that. In the first step, we need to do, so we are doing it for the I security first. So in the first step, what we need to do is KI minus KI expected. So we have to subtract the expected value of I from each value of I security. So it will be equal to 25 minus 11, 14%. The second will be 18 minus 11, 11 minus 11, so obviously it will be equal to 0, equal to 5 minus 11, so negative 6%, and lastly equal to minus 5 minus 11, so that is minus 16. Next step, we need to take this scale value of this. So I'm just copy and paste, and I'll put a scale to it. We need to calculate the scale. So again, the simplest way is multiply this value twice, enter. For this security I'll do it this way, and then for the next security I'll do it with a faster method of doing it quickly. Obviously this will be equal to 0. I have to do it equal to minus 6 into minus 6 again, so that will be a square value, and lastly equal to minus 16 into minus 16, and that's it. So this is the square value. These are the square values of the differences that we have calculated. In the third step, we need to copy the same, and now we have to multiply it with the probability. So it means at the start I'll put pi into it. So we have to multiply these values with their respective probability. Mean equal to this value multiplied by the probability. Next one, so we can do the same thing for the next remaining values, equal to 49 multiplied by the probability. Okay, so we got the probability sum of the square differences of I security. Now once we sum all these values, that is, I can do it the auto sum. This auto sum, this value is known as the variance of variance, which is represented by the sigma. This is the sigma. So insert, and that is the square value. So I'll reduce the size of it. Sigma square, or let me put it as sigma I square. So that is the variance of I security, and once you'll take the square root of it, that will be known as standard deviation. Which is sigma I. Sigma is for the standard deviation, I is for the I security. That is equal to square root of this value. That is 7.89 if we keep it up to 2 decimal places. If you increase the number of decimals, you can increase it from here. And if you want to reduce the number of decimals, so if we keep it up to 2 decimal places, it is 7.89% plus minus. So this is the standard deviation of the expected rate of return of I security, which is 7.89. The expected rate of return is 11%, while the returns are, on average, they'll vary 7.89% on either side of its expected value of 11%. Now I'm doing it quickly for the J security, and now I'll be using some shortcuts. So for the J security, it will be KJ minus KJ expected so I'll be doing it J security minus its expected rate of return, that is 8%. Let's do it quickly. Equal to 3 minus 8, next will be 10 minus 8, next will be 15 minus 8, next will be 8 minus 8, and that will be equal to 0, obviously. Similarly, we need to calculate the square of it, so I'll do it quickly. Square, and what we can do is we can calculate equal to this into this again. So if I drag drop these values, I'll get it quickly. That's it. The next step is that I need to multiply it with the probability. So I'll do it quickly again. I'll put pi to it, and I'm going to do it this value multiply by its respective probability, and that is 0.1. And again I can do it quickly by just drag drop these values. So the auto sum, and I'll get the variance. So I'll get this way. So this will be for J security, variance of J security. So the variance of J security is 30.8, and the standard deviation, again we need to do it same way. This will be for J security, and we are going to calculate the square root, equal to square root of this variance, and you'll get the answer 5.55 plus minus 5.55%. So it means the expected rate of return, let's recap, the expected rate of return of I security is 11%, while the expected rate of return of J security is 8%. So based on the expected rate of return, security I is better than security J. While on the other hand, the standard deviation, if we take the standard deviation as the final value that for the comparison, the standard deviation of the expected rate of return of I security is 7.89% plus minus, while for the J security, the expected rate of return, the variation or the standard deviation of the expected rate of return of J security is plus minus 5.55%. Purely on the risk basis, security J is better than security I. But again, since we are making the decision based on both risk and return together, so we cannot make the decision right away. So what we need to do is we need to calculate the coefficient of variation. So we need to calculate the coefficient of variation for I security first, that is CVI, and CV, how we calculate it, equal to the standard deviation divided by the expected rate of return. It gives us risk per unit of return. In this case it's 0.717. So if we keep it up to 2 decimal places, but for the time being let's leave it, and I'm doing it for the J security. And then we can make the comparison for J security equal to the standard deviation divided by its expected rate of return, and that is equal to 0.69. So I increase this one to 3 decimal places as well, and that is 0.694. So based on the composite measure of risk and return together, security J is better than security I, because a lower CG is better. Coefficient of variation, a lower coefficient of variation is considered better as compared to a higher coefficient of variation, because it tells us about risk per unit of return. So I explain it in my video for the historical rate of returns and risk, that it means that for 1% expected rate of return, for security I we are taking a risk of 0.717% standard deviation, mean variation risk, while for security J it is 0.694. For 1% return it is 0.694, which is lower. So as a risk averse individual, normal human being, you will prefer security J over security I. That's all for today's lecture, and I'll see you with a new lecture on the portfolio risk and return calculation. Thank you.